Hi, everybody. In the video that you're about to watch, I talk about using new file to start a project in this class, and I will mention that we will rarely, if ever, use open. I'm only talking about when you are starting a project the very first time. In this class, you will often need multiple days to finish a project. After you've created the project, you will use open the next day when you come back. You won't start over from scratch. You'll open where you're at. So in these videos here, I'm talking about when you are starting, creating your file for the first time. That is what I am talking about. Okay, enjoy the videos. All right, let's talk about properly starting projects in this class. You must start all projects in this way in order to make sure that they are created correctly, saved correctly, and everything. This is a new video that I am making to help my students avoid frustration when it comes to starting projects and getting them saved correctly. So this is a new way of doing it, but this is the way that no matter what you see going forward, this is how you're going to start all projects. Not all of my tutorial videos for projects are going to say this. You've got to remember this. I'm going to try to update them, but there's a lot of them. So this is how we start all projects in this class every single time. Okay? So first of all, you're going to notice when you go into Photoshop, you're going to have a choice for new file or open. You are very rarely, if ever, in this class going to use open. We're going to do new file. When you do that, you are going to see that Photoshop has a number of presets saved for you. So photo, print, art, illustration, web, etc. These are things where if they're pre-made, they know the sizes and all the things that you need for them, but we're going to put in our own values. Now here's the first time I'm going to say this, and hopefully I remember to put some graphics on the scene. Pixels, pixels, pixels. We don't do inches, we're going to do pixels. So it does not matter which choice you have up here because we're going over here to where it says preset details and we are going to make some changes here. So the first thing is you're going to notice that the project says untitled. You're going to change that immediately. You're going to start by putting your name in. Please don't put Pasifumi, that's my name, not yours. And then if it's a specific project, name it. So if it's the text effect project, then just do that. If it's just something where you're playing around, then just put something in descriptive like practice text or something. I don't know, something like that. But don't have it named untitled or anything like that. Now, you have two choices here for width, for height, or I'm sorry, for size, width and height. The first thing you're going to do is change inches to pixels, 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 not inches. You will break your laptop. Well, you won't really break it, but please just trust me. Do pixels, 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 please. Okay. So if I tell you in a project a specific size that it should be, type that in for the width and the height. I'm just going to go ahead and type in 1200 pixels by 1000 pixels. I want it to be a little bit wider than it is tall. So the width will be 1200, the height will be 1000. This is always a good size to use for any project you do in this class. But if I tell you a specific size, go ahead and type those values in, but be sure it's pixels. Okay, for resolution, we're going to do 300 for resolution because some of this stuff you're going to want to print at home, and that is a good resolution for things that we're going to print. This should say pixels by inch by default. For the most part, everything else down here, you can probably just leave RGB color, white, etc. You can just kind of leave that stuff and then go ahead and click the Create button. So that's going to open up a fresh, clean document for us here in our window. But now you're going to want to add some things to this. So let's say you've downloaded some images that you want to add to your project. Here is how you're going to do that. You're going to go to the File menu, and you're going to go to Place Embedded. And then you are going to navigate to the folder where you saved it. We should have created a folder in class called Photoshop. That's where you should be downloading all of your images and saving them to your computer as shown. I'm pretty sure I'm going to put the order of the videos where you've just watched the video about saving images. But if I didn't, if I changed my mind after, it's coming up shortly. Okay? So I'm just going to pick this one called Desert and click Place. Now, when you bring something in with Place Embedded, what's going to happen is it's going to come in and have this little what's called a bounding box around it that's going to let you resize it. You might bring in an image that's way bigger than the one you created or way smaller than the one you created. This will let you resize it the way that you want it for your image. Now, here's where you might get some conflicting information. Notice that mine is squishing. I don't want it to squish. I want it to stay in proportion. I need to hold the shift key down on this computer to get that to happen. So notice now I'm holding shift and dragging it, and it's not squishing anymore. It's staying in proportion. Some computers, you actually don't hold shift with it. So you're just going to have to see what you need to do. If you hold shift and it squishes, then don't hold shift. If you're not holding shift and it squishes, then hold shift, and that will keep it in proportion. I'm just going to basically resize it so it fits in my window here, and then I'm going to hit enter, and that gets rid of that bounding box from it. Now the very next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to right click in the layer menu. I'm clicking in the empty part of the name of that layer, and I am finding rasterize layer in the choices right there and clicking that. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail about that, but basically the way we're bringing these images in, you wouldn't be able to directly edit them. They're called smart, it doesn't matter, okay? But rasterizing them will now let me edit this image if I wanted to paint on it or erase part of it. This will just work better for our class. There is a reason why you would not do it that way, but for our class, this is going to work just fine. I'm going to go ahead and bring in another image. So I'm going to go File, Place Embedded. I'm going to choose another image and click Place. Again, I'm going to go ahead and resize it the way that I want in this image and hit Enter. And then I'm immediately going to right click in the name area, but like in a blank part of the name in the palette there on the layer, right click and choose rasterize layer. And now I'll be able to do some of the editing stuff that I want to do to it. Okay, so that is how we bring images in and start to combine them in this class. It is File, Place Embedded, and then immediately rasterize those layers. In the next video, we're going to talk about how to save the images correctly. Okay?